Brad Wharton here for Cage Warriors, joined as ever for the Matchmaker's Take by Cage Warriors matchmaker Ian Dean. Ian, great to have you back again for another Matchmaker's Take. Why not talk about the fight that everyone else is talking about first? Obviously, Che Mills, Leroy Barnes. It's been setting social media on fire over the past few weeks. But, you know, it's a serious fight, some serious consequences for the guy who comes out on the losing end of it. And how do these guys stack up, and how important is it for both of them to get a win?
Yes, it's really important, especially with the social media tirade that, you know, and arguments and whatnot. It's a fight neither guys really wants to lose. If you look at both guys' records as of late, you know, obviously we both know they're a lot better than that. Che Mills has he lost to Cole Penrod, and then Faisal Hussein in his last two Cage Warriors performances. But, you know, he's a lot better than that. He's shown that from his days in the UFC. Whilst Leroy Barnes, coming in now with a negative record, has been really unlucky at Cage Warriors. Although last time at Liverpool against Norm Parisi, I think he put on, you know, a near career best performance and really troubled Parisi. And he'll be looking for that again. You know, Leroy's got great boxing. You know, he showed it against Parisi. The last two times, you know, at Cage Warriors haven't been great, and he knows that. And I think this fight against Mills has really motivated him. And I think he, you know, in a lot of ways, I think Leroy is going to look at this now, and knows that, yeah, this is it for him right now. Whereas you can argue the same for Mills, especially if Mills wants to climb the ladder. He's got to do an impressive performance right now, and for me, that's what makes this fight really interesting.
Absolutely, Mills probably going to be the bookmaker's favourite. But as you said, if the Leroy Barnes that fought Norman Parisi, the Leroy Barnes that fought Jack Marshall, if that Leroy Barnes turns up, could very well miss an interesting contest. So moving on up to the middleweight division, and interestingly moving up to the middleweight division is Steve Dinsdale. He's taken on Matt Hallam. Now, we've seen Steve Dinsdale before, a real trial by fire for him on his Cage Warriors debut against Bruno Carvalho, but how does he stack up against Matt Hallam?
For me, yeah, it's another bout that's looking really even as we go into Saturday's show. As you said, you know, Dinsdale had it really tough on his Cage Warriors debut against Bruno Carvalho. Up until then, he was unbeaten. But, you know, he put on a great effort. Last time out in Liverpool, last year, he beat Dan Rushworth in a 3-round war that could have gone either way. Since then, he's had some time out. He's had some fights fall through. And interestingly, he's moved up to middleweight. He believes that middleweight is going to give him more gas. It's going to give him, you know, more power, and he's going to be able to go full throttle for 3 rounds. And I think he's going to need to against someone like Matt Hallam, who's, you know, coming to this, you know, off a good win in December with the explosive KO, and, you know, all 4 wins have come by TKO as well. I think it could be a real slugfest between two, you know, big guys.
Speaking of slugfest, one guy who's known for standing and trading, and also for his skills on the ground, which we've seen really round himself out, is Matt Inman. He's taken on a submission-based guy in Mario Cimento now. Inman's 4-1 in Cage Warriors. He's on something of a streak at the moment, and there's a lot of talk on social media and in the UK MMA media about where he sits in the division now in terms of the title picture. And where do you see Matt Inman, and where does a win leave him in the welterweight division?
I think without a doubt, Inman's just impressed everyone so far at Cage Warriors. You know, he signed a multi-fight deal on the back of a couple of losses, and I think there was a few questions whether he's going to cut it. You know, especially in the really stacked 170 division we have at Cage Warriors, and then on his debut he lost to Jack Mason, but then since then he's just been on fire. You know, he was fantastic against Leon Kenji in Wales last year. He went to Chechnya, you know, was injured in the bout, came back with a great TKO, and even last time out at Cage Warriors early on this year, you know he shut out a really game Swiss fighter. And, you know, for me, I actually think he's one of the best 170 guys we have. He's getting better all the time. He's a real complete all-round fighter. And he's going to need them skills because he's taken on a really slick Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu expert in Mario Cimento, who last time out, last May, you know, had an absolutely fantastic win. Guillotine out there in the UAE. Comes from a great camp. And it's going to be interesting. You know, Inman has a slick ground game as well. But is he going to get troubled with a real finesse of Cimento? Or is Inman's probably better all-round game going to see him through? I don't know. It's one of these bouts that make Cage Warriors what it is.
Absolutely. And speaking of which, co-main event of the evening, Ronnie Man versus Marcel Costa in the bantamweight division. A lot of things happening in the bantamweight division at the moment. Obviously, we know a lot about Ronnie Man, but what problems are Marcel Costa going to cause for Ronnie? And what should we be looking out for from this guy?
I think with Marcelo Costa, again, it's going to be submission. Unbeaten in his last 5, 4 wins and a draw. His last loss to former Cage Warriors bantamweight champion Paul McVeigh, I believe in Scotland, on another show. Coming off a career best win against former UFC vet Demetrio Page, which was a decision. But I do think he brings a legit threat to Ronnie Man. Ronnie's going to be making, I think, his 3rd appearance right now on Cage Warriors. Had a tough time out in Jordan last October. And I think he's going to want to nail down and show why. Everyone says that he's the best guy at 135 at Cage Warriors. And of course, with a vacant title right now, he's going to want to show why he deserves to wear that gold.
Absolutely. One of the performances of the night last time we were in Liverpool, I'm sure Ronnie Man will be looking to replicate that on Saturday night. So, main event time then, Jimmy Wallhead versus Danny Roberts. It's the fight that's being hailed by fans and media as the domestic fight of the year. Certainly looks like from the build-up it's going to be that way. Obviously, we've seen the great countdown video. We've heard what both guys have to say about the magnitude of the fight. It's a homecoming for Jimmy Wallhead. It's a potential breakout fight for Danny Roberts. How do you see the fight, and how big of a fight is this for Cage Warriors?
This is a huge fight for Cage Warriors. Everyone knows that myself and Jim Wallhead go back a long time. From when he fought in Cage Warriors back in 2005, and he's then gone on and grown to be one of the best domestic fighters the UK have produced in the last few years. He returns to Cage Warriors against a hometown hero in Danny Roberts, who's also carving himself out a great reputation here at Cage Warriors. Unbeaten, he's flashy, he's got style, and and he's also got a lot of potential. But then, if you look at, he's fighting Jim Wallhead, who has been there and done it, and Wallhead's already said that he believes that he's in the sort of best shape of his career right now. And with the welterweight division so stacked, as we mentioned earlier, the winner of this fight, the only way is up. And it's just what makes it a really, really huge bout. For me, it's a domestic super fight. I can't see there being a bigger domestic fight this year in the UK. And that's what makes it so intriguing.
Absolutely. Jimmy Wallhead versus Danny Roberts, the main event of Cage Warriors 68. This Saturday night from Liverpool's Echo Arena. We don't know who's going to win. You can check out who does this Saturday night, and we will see you then. In the meantime, do follow us on social media at Cage Warriors and join in the conversation with the hashtag CWFC68, and we will see you on Saturday.